Everything is impermanent permutations of potential conscious probabilities. So where's my Nobel Prize, huh? Welcome back to Druid Grove, my truest travelers. I'm Druid Dave, and today we're going to be talking about agency. Let's get into it. Look, if everything is determined, if we're all just following some cosmic script, then surely the universe should have fast-tracked my award by now, right? But here's the thing. This joke actually reveals something profound about the nature of reality and your power within it. Today we're diving deep into one of the most empowering realizations you can have about your existence, the secret to your agency. And I'm not talking about wishful thinking or toxic positivity. I'm talking about understanding how genuine change and free will emerge from the very structure of reality itself. We'll explore how neuroscience proves you can literally rewire your brain, how ancient wisdom traditions understood the fluid nature of identity, and why even if agency is ultimately an illusion, it's an illusion with real, measurable effects on your life. This isn't about pretending you have unlimited power. It's about understanding how real agency emerges from the interplay of infinite possibilities within systematic frameworks. You exist in what I call the dimension of emergence, where genuine transformation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. By the end of this video, you'll understand why you have far more power to change your beliefs, emotions, and life than you've been taught to believe. Here's what neuroscience is telling us. You can literally rewire your brain. You can change your beliefs, your emotional patterns, your habitual responses. This isn't metaphysics. This is measurable, observable neuroplasticity. Lisa Feldman Barrett's groundbreaking research on constructed emotion reveals something revolutionary. Emotion is constructed in the moment by core systems that interact across the whole brain, aided by a lifetime of learning. Your emotions aren't fixed reactions to the world. They're predictions your brain constructs based on past experiences and current context. This means you play a much greater role in your emotional life than you ever imagined. Barrett's work shows us that emotional concepts aren't just labels we put on feelings. They actively shape the neural predictions that create those feelings. When you learn new emotional concepts, you literally expand your capacity for different emotional experiences. Your brain constructs your reality based on the concepts and beliefs you hold. But here's the paradox that most people miss. The framework is finite, yet the potential is infinite. Think about it. You have a finite number of neurons operating within the finite laws of physics in a finite lifespan, yet within those constraints, the number of possible neural configurations, the potential states of consciousness you can access, the lives you can create, that's essentially infinite. This is the foundation of genuine agency. You're not free from causation. You're free within causation. You're not unlimited. You're infinitely creative within your limitations, and those limitations aren't obstacles to overcome. They're the very structure that makes creativity and choice possible. When you understand that your emotions are constructed rather than fixed reactions, you gain tremendous power. You're not a victim of your feelings. You're the architect of your emotional experience. Every time you consciously choose a different emotional concept to describe your experience, you're literally rewiring your predictive brain. This is where agency begins, not in some mystical realm outside of natural law, but in the recognition that you are an active participant in constructing the reality you experience moment by moment. This understanding of fluid identity and emergent agency isn't new. Across cultures and millennia, humans have intuited these same truths through mythology and spiritual practice. In Celtic mythology, the Morrigan was the shape-shifting goddess of war, fate, and transformation, known as the Phantom Queen. She could transform from woman to crow to wolf, embodying the principle that identity itself is fluid and context dependent. The Celts understood that transformation wasn't just possible, it was the very nature of existence. The Morrigan represented the agency within change itself, the power to consciously participate in your own metamorphosis, even within the larger patterns of fate. The Morrigan teaches us that we are not fixed selves trying to change. We are change itself, temporarily organized into patterns we call identity. This shift in perspective alone opens up possibilities that weren't visible before. Tzitsum, the Kabbalistic thought, Tzitsum describes how the infinite God contracted to make space for the finite world. But within that finite space, infinite potential still exists. Your consciousness works the same way. Finite structure, infinite possibility. The I Ching, the Book of Changes, operates on 64 hexagrams, each representing different states of change and potential, finite symbols, infinite interpretations and applications. Your life operates on similar principles, limited elements combining into limitless ways. Fractals themselves, whether it's a coastline or a fern leaf, fractals show us how simple, finite rules can generate infinite complexity and beauty. Your neural networks work fractally, basic patterns creating increasingly complex emergent properties. The same recursive patterns that create the spiral of a galaxy create the networks of your consciousness. Hindu Leela, the cosmic play where the divine experiences itself through countless forms and stories. Even if your agency is part of a larger play, your role within play is real, meaningful, and transformative. You're not separate from the cosmic process. You are the cosmic process, temporarily organized as a conscious agent. These traditions understood what modern neuroscience is now proving. The self isn't a fixed entity, but an ongoing process of becoming. And within that process, genuine agency emerges, not as control over external outcomes, but as conscious participation in your own continuous creation. This is what I call entering the dimension of emergence, that space where you recognize both your constraints and your infinite potential within them. It's not about pretending you have unlimited power. It's about understanding how real agency emerges from the interplay of infinite possibilities within systematic frameworks. When you shift from seeing yourself as a fixed entity to understanding yourself as an ongoing process of becoming, everything changes. You stop being a victim of your past conditioning and start becoming an active participant in your continuous creation. Here's something crucial that builds on Barrett's research. Even if agency is ultimately an illusion, it's an illusion with real effects. The concept of agency itself changes your neural patterns, influences your decisions, propels you into action. It makes you create art, pursue beauty, find meaning. If something has measurable effects on reality, can we really call it just an illusion? Your belief in your ability to change literally changes your brain. Your sense of agency activates different neural pathways than helplessness does. In the most practical sense, agency becomes real through its effects. And here's the beautiful paradox of impermanence. The very fact that nothing is fixed is what makes change possible. Your thoughts aren't permanent. Your limitations aren't permanent. You exist in a constant state of becoming, where each moment offers new possibilities. The ancient wisdom that all is impermanent isn't a cause for despair. It's the foundation of hope. It means that no matter where you are right now, transformation is not just possible, it's inevitable. The question isn't whether you'll change, you're changing right now, in this very moment. The question is whether you'll participate consciously in that change or stay fixed in unconsciousness. This understanding transforms how you relate to difficult emotions, limiting beliefs, and challenging circumstances. Instead of seeing them as fixed problems to solve, you recognize them as temporary patterns that are already in the process of changing. Your conscious participation in that change through attention, intention, and new conceptual understanding, becoming a form of genuine agency. You are literally an impermanent permutation of infinite potential, temporarily organized into the capacity for conscious choice. And the capacity, whether ultimately real or not, has the power to transform your neural patterns, your experience, and your reality. So how do you enter the dimension of emergence? How do you access this understanding practically and transform your daily experience? First, recognize that you're not a fixed self trying to change. You're change itself, temporarily organized into the pattern you call you. Like the Morrigan, shape-shifting from form to form, your identity is far more fluid than you've been taught to believe. This shift in perspective alone opens up possibilities that weren't visible before. Second, work with your constraints rather than against them. Your finite framework, your genetics, your history, your current circumstances. These aren't limitations to overcome, but materials to work with creatively. Barrett's research shows us that even your emotional responses to these constraints are constructed and therefore changeable. Start paying attention to your emotional concepts. The words and categories you use to describe your feelings actually shape what you feel. Expand your emotional vocabulary, and you expand your possible experiences. Instead of, I'm stressed, try, I'm energetically activated and seeking direction. The conceptual shift creates different neural predictions and different felt experiences. Third, embrace the paradox. You are both determined and free, both constrained and unlimited, both an illusion and completely real. These aren't contradictions to resolve, but complementary aspects of your nature to integrate. When you're going through what feels like chaos or breakdown, you might actually be in an emergence phase. The confusion, the disillusion of old patterns, the sense of everything changing. This isn't pathology. It's your consciousness expanding to its next level of organization. Trust these natural rhythms instead of forcing artificial stability. Fourth, recognize that agency isn't about controlling outcomes. It's about consciously participating in the process. You can't control whether you get that job, but you can consciously participate in how you prepare, how you handle uncertainty, and how you construct meaning from whatever happens. The secret to your agency isn't found in denying the systematic nature of reality or pretending you exist outside of cause and effect. It's found in understanding how genuine freedom emerges from within the very structure of existence itself. Your neuroplasticity isn't separate from natural law. It is natural law, enabling conscious creatures to participate in their own evolution. Your ability to construct new emotional realities isn't magic. It's the predictive brain doing what it evolved to do with your conscious participation. The secret to your agency isn't belief. It's understanding. Understanding that you are an impermanent permutation of infinite potential, temporarily organized into the capacity for conscious choice. You exist at the intersection of finite structure and infinite possibility. Your constraints aren't obstacles to freedom. They're the very conditions that make genuine creativity and choice possible. Without the finite framework framework of your nervous system, personality, and circumstances, there would be no you to exercise agency. But within that framework, the possibilities are genuinely limitless. Every moment offers opportunities to construct new emotional realities, to activate different neural pathways, to participate consciously in your own becoming. This isn't wishful thinking, it's the practical application of cutting-edge neuroscience and ancient wisdom. Lisa Feldman Barrett's research shows us that we're already constructing our emotional reality every moment. The question is whether we'll do it consciously or unconsciously. The Celtic understanding of fluid identity reminds us that transformation isn't the exception, it's the rule. The mathematical principles governing fractals and emergence demonstrate that simple rules can generate infinite complexity and beauty. You are simultaneously the observer and the observed, the sculptor and the clay, the storyteller and the story. And in that paradoxical position, genuine agency emerges, not as control over external outcomes, but as conscious participation in the cosmic creative process. So maybe I won't get that predetermined Nobel Prize after all. But I've got something better, the understanding that every moment offers the possibility of consciously participating in the evolution of consciousness itself. And so do you. I want to hear about your experiences with constructed emotion and conscious transformation. In the comments below, share a time when you successfully changed an emotional pattern or self-limiting belief. What shifted when you recognized your role in constructing your own experience? And if this understanding of agency and emergence resonates with you, subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, make sure to leave a comment and a like. Those really help to push the video out, so I would greatly appreciate it. We're going to keep exploring how consciousness works and how you can participate more consciously in your own evolution. Remember, you're not looking for agency, you're already exercising it. The question is whether you'll do it consciously or unconsciously. What will you create with your agency today? You are change itself, temporarily organized as a conscious agent. Now go consciously participate in your own becoming. And as always, light only shines while facing the dark. And the peak of being is simply being. I appreciate everybody who's subscribed so far. This has been, this week's lesson on agency and on fluidity and freedom. So I hope that you gained some clarity or gained, more insight essentially from this video. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Until next time, talk to you next week. Peace out.